I live to see you eat that contract. But I hope you leave enough room for my fist, because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine!
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you caught my previous live video last Sunday, you'll have heard me talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger films and what I was going to do with this video, which was show the films of Arnold Schwarzenegger from 80 to 89. Now, I've not got a complete collection. So like I've said previously, I only collect what I like. So there'll be certain films missing from this, just for the simple reason that I'm not into the film, or I don't particularly like the film. A few of them will cross over from a video I did previously that showed you the my collection of fantasy films, sword and sorcery films. This being the first one of them, really. I'm going to go through these titles of year by release, and this from my collection. This is the first film of release. It's not Schwarzenegger's first film of the 80s. His first film of the 80s was the Jane Mansfield story, which was released in 1980. Now again, I'm not into anything like that, so that's not in the collection. So for me, the first Schwarzenegger film of the 80s in my collection is Conan the Barbarian. Now, we've talked about this in a previous video. If you want to look a bit further down below, and you'll see the video in question. So I'm not going to ramble on too much about it. This is where it obviously started big time for Schwarzenegger. After being seen in this film, he was seen as a leading man and as a action hero, action star. I think everything came off the basis of this film all through the 80s. Again, the film is a fantastic film. Again, in the sword and sorcery film, it's probably the most well known of the titles through that genre. Again, Schwarzenegger's really good in this, but he's got a real good cast of other actors in it. James Earl Jones, Max von Sydow, Sandor Bergman, Mako. There's some real good actors in it, and it's a good all-round film. So that's the first one that's in the collection. That's Conan the Barbarian. Now again, we've talked about this film in the previous video, and it's the follow-on from Conan the Barbarian. It's 1984's Conan the Destroyer. This was obviously there's a 2-year gap between the two, and Schwarzenegger had done something in between called Schoolgirl, Don't Call It Love. Again, I'm not 100% sure of that particular title. I don't actually know what it entails. But this was his next feature length, which is Conan the Destroyer. It's not as good as Conan the Barbarian, but it's still an entertaining film with another really good cast. And again, we've talked about this in a previous video. Cast again was in this one was Grace Jones. Grace Jones had a really good, memorable character in this. Mako's back in this. Pat Roach again is in this. Another good film. Again, the DVD is really basic. The Blu-ray is really basic. There's just the film, nothing else. There's no extras on it, no nothing. But it looks better than the standard DVD, which I've also got. If you want to look a bit more in depth, obviously I can go back to the previous video that I did. But yeah, that is 1984's Conan the Destroyer. Now this is where it starts to get really interesting for Schwarzenegger. Obviously previous films are exceptionally good, but this just steps up to another level. And it is 1985's The Terminator by James Cameron. Phenomenal film. If you're a sci-fi nut, if you're a horror nut, it leads into both genres. You can watch this film and sort of view it from multiple angles. Yeah, it's heavily sci-fi influenced, but if you watch this now, there's a massive element of 80s slasher films in this. You could really look at the Terminator character as like a Michael Myers or a Jason kind of character. He's just relentless. There's no stopping him. It's a phenomenal role that it takes in this Schwarzenegger. He's a character with few words, but the on-screen presence of him says everything. He looks an absolute menace in this film. Probably acting-wise, he's probably up there with some of the better stuff that he's done. Because again, there isn't much dialogue from him in this film. But then you get to hear the one-liner, "I'll be back," and so that's where that stems from and sticks with him is from this film. Again, a really good cast of actors in this, with Linda Hamilton, Michael Biehn. It's one of those films that stands out. Now, if you look to the obviously the sequel to this, Terminator 2, again, it's a film I own, and people seem to love that film, but for me, it wasn't a patch on this. It takes a massive detour and turn away from what this film was, and this film just shows you an absolute menacing guy who'll stop at nothing to take down the target, and it still stands up now. It's still visually stunning. It's up there for me as one of Schwarzenegger's better films, and should be seen by everyone. This film, it's a standout in the genre. So that's Terminator. This particular version, before I go, it's just a straight film version that I've got. I have got the DVD version, which has got loads of special features on it. There's commentaries and documentaries and all kinds of stuff. This particular version, I don't know why they didn't port it across. Hasn't got anything. But again, it's quality-wise, it's a step up from what the DVD version is. So it's nice to have them both and keep both. So that's the Terminator. So we're back to the sword and sorcery kind of stuff, which I don't think at one point he could get away from. He'd been sort of typecast and stereotyped into playing this kind of character, which for me, that was never an issue with him. He's fantastic in these kind of roles. But we've talked about this one again in a previous video, and it's 1985's Red Sonja. A film that not a lot of people sort of think upon today. Obviously they think of the Conan films, but don't think much about Red Sonja, and I particularly like the film. It is a decent film to have in the title. Again, it's a decent lineup of actors that he'd worked with in previous sword and sorcery stuff. So Bridget Nielsen takes the main role in this one as Red Sonja. Arnold Schwarzenegger's role as Calidor. Very Conan-esque in the way it is. Then Sandal Bergman's back in this, but this time she takes the role of a villain. Ronald Lacey's in this. You'll know Ronald Lacey from the Indiana Jones films. Pat Roach is also in this film again. A good fantasy romp. Again, I've got the DVD version of this, and this is the Blu-ray version of this. Again, there isn't that much on the disc, special feature wise. There's a couple of little extras on it, but there's not a great deal. but again, it's just an upgrade from the DVD version, and again, it looks really good. Again, if you want a bit more in depth on these particular titles, just go down to the video below, and you'll find we talked about these in more in depth. So yeah, that's Red Sonja. Yeah, no, as you start to work your way through to the 80s, and we're getting into sort of mid 80s, these films onwards now were the big money makers for Schwarzenegger. These really cemented the thing for him of being a leading man and an action man, especially with this particular film. And it's 1985's Commando. Excellent film. I wouldn't say it holds up that well today, but it's still a really good fun watch if you take it for what it is. Some absolute brilliant one-liners in this. It's fantastic, but you can keep the count going of how many continuity errors are in this. It is unreal how many mistakes are made in this film, but it still doesn't take anything away from it. It is a really good film. Again, this was another one that had a solid acting lineup in it. Bill Duke's in this, and Bill Duke appears in other Schwarzenegger films. It's just a good all-round film. Again, a lot of this stuff that's had early Blu-ray release is really basic. There's not much on there. Obviously, it looks better than the DVD version, but there isn't a great deal on there special feature wise. I mean, when they're highlighting special feature on the back of the disc, that's high definition trailers. Well, that ain't no special feature. But no, it is a good all round action film that people still talk about now. Everyone knows Commando, and obviously there's people who have seen it in different variations over the years, whether it be the theatrical release or the VHS release, which had all the stuff in it, or the TV release, which had a lot of things clipped out of it. I mean, the most iconic one is where he throws the saw blade to kill the guy. That was cut out of TV edits and things like that. But no, it's a good film. Like I say, I wouldn't say it stands up today, but it is a really good film. Yeah, that's Commando. Now, this particular title is in slap bang in the middle of prime Schwarzenegger years. Obviously, at this particular time, he can do no wrong at all. But for some reason, when you chat about to people and reminisce about Schwarzenegger films, everyone always seems to forget Raw Deal. Raw Deal came out in '86. Personally, I love the film. I think it's exceptionally good. Is it shot well? No. Is the storyline well set out? No, not really. It's just your average gangster film. But for action, you can't go wrong with it. It is non-stop, and it looks like it was shot on a bit of a budget, and it doesn't look as good as films that he'd previously done, or films that's going to come after this one. But there's something about Raw Deal that's just it just flows nicely. But again, it's one of those films where when you do talk to people don't always remember it until you jog the memory. This particular release is probably, I think it's the newest release into my Schwarzenegger collection. It looks good. I can't say as I've got the DVD version of this, but you actually get a few extras on this one. There's a couple of documentaries on this, which is good, because, like I say, some of the other releases that you get, there's nothing on there. They're a bare bones release. But this is a good film. If you've never come across it or you've never given it the chance, watch it. It's okay. It's a very good film. Yep, that's Raw Deal. Now we get to one of my personal favourite franchises. I own all of the films in this particular franchise, whether they're good or bad. I enjoy them all, and it's 1988's Predator. Fantastic film, absolutely brilliant supporting cast. The cast of actors is that good in this film that until the sort of last 20-25 minutes, Schwarzenegger shares the screen time brilliantly with every other cast member. He doesn't sort of seem to stand out as being the leading man of the film, because they seem to do that equally as good. Carl Weathers is in this. Again, Bill Dukes is in this. Jesse Ventura's in it. It's a great lineup of actors, and truly, I think one of the most iconic films that Schwarzenegger did. It's a shame that he never came back to the franchise to just at least one more time. With the amount of films in this particular franchise, even a cameo would have done me, but we never really got anything. This particular edition is the Ultimate Edition. There's plenty on this, which makes a change. There's loads of good special features on it. Again, I don't know why this particular release has got so much and others have got so little. I mean, they did call this one the Ultimate Edition, and again, this is region free, so it's across A, B and C. But it's brilliant from the creature creation of the Predator down to the individual actor. It's good, and sort of the last 20-25 minutes with Schwarzenegger just taking up the screen time on his own. It's a really good ending to a film. So yeah, that is Schwarzenegger's The Predator. This has to be my number one choice for the 80s related Schwarzenegger films, for so many reasons, and it is 1987's The Running Man. At this point, Schwarzenegger for me can do no wrong. It's the dystopian future, which I love. I love kind of films that have got that kind of theme to them. And then you put it in with the whole game show scenario that runs through this film, and I think from start to end it's fantastic. The one-liners in this, the costumes in this, everything stands out as being exceptionally good. Again, it's got a decent cast in this. You'll always find sort of actors that cross the whole thing with Schwarzenegger films, and again, this one's got Jesse Ventura's in it. It's just everything about this film. I mean, originally it was an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, which you'd never think that Stephen King would have wrote something like this. But it is an exceptional film. It is really good from start to end, and this release by Fabulous is pretty good. It looks good. Again, there's a few bonus features on there. There's a couple of commentaries on there and a little documentary, which is good. The newer releases, you do seem to get a little bit of something with them. The older Blu-ray releases of Schwarzenegger films, there's never ever a great deal on them. But it's a good one to have in the collection, because again, I've got this on DVD. and it does look better than the DVD version. But that is it's probably my number one choice of the 80s Schwarzenegger films. It just looks great. Yeah, and that's The Running Man. Yeah, so I know this film isn't 80s. This film was released in June 1990. But obviously, it's tail end, filming wise for this was tail ending of the 80s. The reason I'm going to show you this one, and then this will be the last one, is because the two films in between The Running Man and this Total Recall, I just don't like. It's the start of Schwarzenegger coming into trying to do the comedy roles and the light-hearted films, which don't do anything for me in any way, shape or form. So the film after Running Man would have been 89, and that would have been Red Heat. Red Heat, there's something about the film that does nothing. It just doesn't appeal to me at all. And then the same year, that would have been 89, is Twins. Now I know a lot of people like Twins. Danny DeVito takes a good enough part in it, but for me, it's just lackluster. There's something missing in the film, and again, it's that comedy diversion that he's tried to go down, which just never did anything for me. So I've seen the films and they're okay, but they don't warrant a place in the collection, because they just do nothing for me. So for me, it just goes straight to Total Recall. And like I say, I know it's not strictly an 80s film because it came out in June 1990. But there's the way it looks, the way it's presented, everything about it is truly an 80s film. Some of the special effects in this, you can see where things have started to step up a gear, because it's extraordinarily good. Again, a great cast in this film: Sharon Stone, Michael Ironside, Ronnie Cox. It's a really good film. Now this has just had a nice release by Studio Canal. This particular version is an older version by Studio Canal. There is no a 4K release of this, which I've not seen, but I would imagine looks phenomenally good. There's just something about this. If you look into all the Schwarzenegger films, it just stands out head and shoulders above a lot of the other stuff, and it's the way it looks and the way it presents. It's been presented is very much in the style of The Running Man as well. Again, this is a bare bones edition. There's only the film on here. There is no special features. But it was worth showing, and it's worth adding in there. And again, I know, like I've said, it isn't truly an 80s film, but it's very 80s inspired. It's back end of the decade, early 90s, and you can still see where the 80s influence is in this film. It's phenomenally good. But that is Total Recall. Yeah, so that's the collection of 80s Schwarzenegger films that I've got in my library. If you like any of these films, or if you've got any of these particular films in your library, leave us a comment down below. I'd love to have a chat to you about certain titles. I can watch these films over and over again and never get tired with them. Everybody that's currently coming back to the channel to watch the stuff that I'm uploading, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Again, we're getting some nice numbers through. It's not massive in any way, shape or form, but it's nice to know that people are interested enough to keep coming back to see what I put out. If you've got any ideas, or you'd like to see anything else from my collection, 80s related, drop us a comment down below. We can have a look at some stuff, have a chat about some stuff. Maybe on the next live stream I do, we can look at a bit more 80s related stuff. But yeah, if you've not, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks very much. Bye bye.